Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. If you're selling products on Etsy or Shopify, you already know that product mockups are absolutely critical to making sales. The difference between a flat, boring product image and a stunning, professionally designed mockup can literally be the difference between a customer adding something to their cart or scrolling past your listing. Today I'm going to walk you through exactly how to create viral-worthy product mockups that don't just look great, but actually convert browsers into buyers. And the best part? You don't need to be a Photoshop expert or spend hundreds of dollars on software to do this. Let me show you how. Before we dive in, if you're interested in leveling up your e-commerce game, please subscribe to the channel. We drop tutorials like this every single week, and I promise they'll save you time and money. So here's the first thing you need to understand about product mockups. They're not just pretty pictures, they're a psychological tool that helps potential customers visualize themselves owning and using your product. When someone lands on your Etsy shop or your Shopify store, they've got maybe 5 seconds to decide if they're interested. A professional mockup cuts through the noise and immediately communicates quality, professionalism, and value. It tells a story about your brand without saying a single word. Let's start with the foundation. Before you even open Canva or any design software, you need to get crystal clear on your brand identity. What are your brand colors? What's your visual style? Are you sleek and minimalist, or are you bold and eclectic? This matters because consistency builds trust. When every single mockup you create reflects the same color palette, the same font family, and the same design philosophy, customers start to recognize your brand instantly. And recognition leads to sales. I recommend creating a simple brand style guide. Write down your primary color and hex code, your secondary colors, and your accent colors. Choose 2 or 3 fonts that you'll use consistently across all your mockups. These don't need to be fancy or expensive. Google Fonts has thousands of free options that look absolutely professional. Once you've got these locked in, every mockup you create will automatically feel cohesive and polished. Now let's talk about the tools. Canva is honestly my go-to recommendation for most creators, and especially if you're just starting out. The AI features in Canva are genuinely game-changing right now. You can use Canva's AI to generate backgrounds, to remove backgrounds from product photos, and to create text effects that would take hours to do manually. The Pro version costs about $13 a month, and it pays for itself after just a couple of product listings. But if you want a true Photoshop alternative that's completely free, Adobe Photoshop Express is solid. It's not as intuitive as Canva, but it's powerful. Another option is Affinity Photo, which is a one-time purchase of about $70, and it gives you Photoshop-level power without the monthly subscription. The choice really depends on your budget and your comfort level with design software. Let's walk through the actual process of creating a high-converting mockup step by step. First, start with your product photo. Make sure your product photo is clean, well-lit, and shot against a simple background. If you're using a smartphone camera, use natural light and shoot near a window. Your product needs to be the star of the show, so nothing should distract from it. Next, open Canva and choose a template that matches your product category. If you're selling t-shirts, start with a lifestyle mockup template. If you're selling digital products or art prints, you might want a flat lay template. These templates are time savers because they already have the right dimensions, the right layout, and examples of good design principles built in. Now here's where most people make a mistake. They just slap their product onto the template and call it done. Don't do that. Instead, add context around your product. Show it in use. Show it in a lifestyle setting. If you're selling a coffee mug, show it on a desk next to a laptop and a notebook. If you're selling a phone case, show it on a phone in someone's hand. This contextualizing is what makes people say, "Oh, I can see myself using this." When you're adding elements to your mockup, use Canva's AI background generator to create compelling professional backgrounds that match your brand. You don't need to use actual lifestyle photography anymore. The AI-generated backgrounds are honestly stunning, and they let you maintain complete brand consistency. Just describe what you want in the prompt, and the AI does the work for you. Color theory matters more than you think. If your brand colors are cool blues and silvers, your background should complement those. If your brand is warm and earthy, your background should feel inviting and natural. The goal is not contrast for contrast's sake. The goal is harmony that makes the entire mockup feel intentional and well-designed. Let's talk about typography because this is huge. Your product name and any copy on your mockup need to be absolutely readable, even if someone's viewing it on a tiny phone screen. Use high contrast between your text and your background. Black text on white doesn't always work. Sometimes a dark teal on a light cream background is more interesting and still perfectly readable. Test your mockup on a phone. If you can't read the text easily, adjust it. Here's a pro conversion tip that most sellers miss. Include a call to action or a value statement right on the mockup. Something like eco-friendly or handmade or limited edition. These micro messages trigger buying psychology. They give people a reason to feel good about purchasing from you beyond just liking the product itself. Now let's talk about the technical side of optimization. When you export your mockup, make sure you're exporting in the right format. For Etsy and Shopify, you want a PNG file with a transparent background if possible, or a high-quality JPG. The file size matters too. Your image should be clear and vibrant, but it shouldn't be so large that it slows down page load times. Aim for files between 200 and 500 kilobytes. Here's something that affects sales directly. Create multiple versions of each mockup. One with a solid background color, one with a subtle pattern, one with a lifestyle scene in the background. When you upload multiple images to your listing, Etsy and Shopify's algorithms love it because it means customers spend more time browsing your product. More time browsing means more chances for a purchase. Plus, different customers are drawn to different styles. Some might prefer the minimalist solid background, while others want to see the product in context. Let me give you a specific example of what converts. Let's say you're selling a tote bag. Your first mockup should show the bag on a solid brand color background, maybe with some subtle texture. Your second mockup should show the bag being carried by someone wearing modern, contemporary clothing. Your third mockup might show the bag flat lay on a wooden table with a coffee cup and a book. Each one tells a slightly different story, and together they dramatically increase your conversion rate. Now let's get into the psychology of high-converting mockups. People buy based on emotion first, logic second. Your mockup needs to make someone feel something. Does it make them feel creative, productive, confident, relaxed? Think about the emotional benefit of your product and build your mockup around that feeling. The rule of thirds is your friend. Divide your mockup into a 3x3 grid and place your product where the lines intersect. This creates a naturally pleasing composition that feels balanced and professional. Most design software, including Canva, has a grid overlay that helps you do this. Lighting in your mockup matters more than you might think. If you're using AI-generated backgrounds, make sure the lighting direction matches your product photo. If your product is lit from the left, your background should have light coming from the left too. This consistency makes the whole thing feel like one cohesive image instead of a disjointed collage. Here's a really valuable tip. After you create a mockup, let it sit for a few hours or even a day. Then look at it fresh. Ask yourself honestly, does this make me want to buy this product? If the answer is no, figure out why. Is it the color, the layout, the font? Make changes and try again. This is where the real magic happens, in the iteration process. Like this video if you're finding this genuinely helpful. I'm putting a lot of detail into these tutorials because I want you to actually succeed with your e-commerce business, and I love seeing you all crush it. Let's talk about A/B testing, because this is how you really optimize. Create two slightly different versions of the same mockup. Maybe one has a bright background and one has a muted background. Upload them both to your listing and see which one gets more clicks. Shopify gives you data on this. After 2 weeks, look at the stats. Whichever performs better, use that as your template going forward. This is how professionals work. They don't guess. They test and learn. Branding consistency across all your mockups is non-negotiable if you want to scale. When someone sees your Etsy shop or your product on social media, they should instantly recognize it as yours. This happens when every mockup uses the same fonts, the same color palette, and the same design style. Spend time upfront creating templates in Canva that you can reuse for every single product you launch. This saves time and ensures consistency. Here's something most tutorials don't tell you. Your mockup should look good in thumbnail size too. Your main product image on Etsy appears as a thumbnail in search results. It might be only 100 pixels wide. If your mockup is too detailed or has text that's too small, it's useless in thumbnail view. Simplicity and clear focal point are critical. Now let's talk about incorporating your product's unique selling points into the design. If you're selling sustainable products, use earthy tones and natural materials in your mockup backgrounds. If you're selling luxury items, use high-contrast minimalist designs. If you're selling fun, trendy stuff, use bold colors and dynamic compositions. Your mockup design should communicate what your product is about before anyone reads a single word of copy. I want to emphasize something here. Your product itself is beautiful and valuable. Your mockup's job is simply to make sure potential customers can see that beauty clearly. Don't over-design. Don't add so many elements that the product gets lost in the clutter. The product is the hero. Everything else is supporting cast. One more technical tip. When you're working in Canva or Photoshop, use layers properly. Keep your product on one layer, your background on another, your text on yet another. This way, if you need to make changes later, you're not starting from scratch. You can quickly swap in a new background or update text without recreating the whole mockup. Here's the final piece that ties everything together. Your mockup is part of your overall brand narrative. It's a conversation you're having with potential customers. That conversation should be consistent across your product listing, your social media, your email marketing, everything. When someone discovers you on Instagram and then clicks through to your Etsy shop, your mockups should feel immediately familiar. This consistency builds trust and dramatically increases conversion rates. So let me recap what we've covered today. You've learned how to establish your brand identity with colors and fonts. You know which tools to use and why. You understand the step-by-step process of creating mockups that actually convert. You know about color theory, typography, composition, and lighting. You understand the psychology behind effective product mockups. And you know how to test and iterate to keep improving. The difference between someone who creates one mediocre mockup and someone who creates dozens of stunning conversion-optimized mockups is consistency and practice. Start with one product. Create 3 different mockups for it using the techniques we've covered. Upload them and watch your conversion rates. Learn from what works. Then do it again with your next product. If you want more tutorials on e-commerce design, marketing, and sales optimization, please subscribe to the channel. We're building something really cool here, and I want you to be part of it. Drop a comment below and tell me what product you're planning to create mockups for. I'd love to hear what you're working on. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.